that was a big signal to me that if that's what I can do when this is not my full focus, like imagine what I could really do if I really sat down and made a plan and actually just went for it. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Austin and I am a fashion and beauty content creator based in New York City. In this recent video that I did, I talked to you guys about why I left my job to pursue content creation full-time, and today I want to get into a little bit more of how I actually was able to do that. I'm going to talk through how I came to the decision to quit. I'm going to talk about, what I did leading up to leaving my job to kind of prepare and get ready. And then I'm going to talk about how I'm going to be making money and what my action plan is in terms of creating a salary for myself, essentially. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and stick around for new videos from me every week, and give this video a thumbs up down below if you find it helpful. So first was how I came to the decision to leave my job. And it wasn't like an overnight decision. It wasn't like I had a bad week and was like, nope, see you later. It really was months of the way my job had changed and evolved that made me think that it wasn't the right fit for me anymore. And then it was reinforced by conversations I had mainly with my parents, my boyfriend, and some of my closest friends to kind of share what I was going through and hearing their perspective of it. Because I think getting an outside opinion from people who you really trust, not an unsolicited opinion from everyone who has one, because then you'll be getting hundreds of those, but really kind of zoning in and asking people like, does this sound like the kind of thing that I would like doing every day? Or do you think that there's maybe more I could be doing out on my own? And really giving them the chance to give you their honest opinion on things. I kept saying, oh, well, I know exactly what I'm going to do if and when I ever choose to kind of be self-employed again. I know exactly what I would want to focus on. And I think also having that clarity is a really big part of choosing to leave a job to work for yourself, right? Not just necessarily leaving a job to then go get another job. I'm talking about like leaving and just having you to rely on to bring in income, to get clients, to get money. And so to that end, I also really sat down and thought about what I wanted my entrepreneurial life to look like and what I did not want it to look like. And if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I did spend about 1.5 years as a full-time freelancer before. So I already knew what I had done before, and it was very clear to me what I did not want to be doing this time around. And last time I was freelance, I was doing a lot of freelance writing for publications, which makes sense because my background is in magazine journalism and in editorial. But the problem with that was a lot of chasing one-off assignments for very cool publications, but that just didn't really pay a lot, and then also sometimes didn't pay on time, or in awful worst case scenario, didn't pay at all. And I really just got tired of trading all of those dollars for hours and having that be kind of the main way that I was earning money. And even with my blog back then, I was earning like 80% of my blog revenue from sponsored content, which is completely fine. It just wasn't the way that I wanted it to be distributed, because I had this never-ending hustle culture mentality where I felt like I always had to be working, always chasing the next dollar, which is a really easy mindset to have, especially when you work for yourself, because you are in control of how much you earn. But what I really want to do differently this time is create realistic passive revenue streams for myself so that I can say yes to all of the projects and the other things that I want to say yes to, and so I'm not always trading dollars for hours, and especially taking on more low-paying projects or assignments. I've gotten so much better at pitching and negotiating, especially when it comes to brand deals now, and if you want my complete insights on all of that, I do have my ebook Right on Pitch, which I will leave a link to at the bottom of this video. But I just knew that this time around there would be a larger focus on ways that I could bring in money without having to always be expending effort. And I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of this video. Another thing that I really had to consider was both my long-term career goals as well as my short-term happiness, because I think in my previous job, I was very set up for success in regards to my long-term career goals, which was to reach a lot of people, help creators create great content and also monetize that content, and really established a sense of community within these creators and really help nurture them and grow them so that they could eventually do this, right? Like be a full-time creator if that's what they wanted to, or even earn a full-time income while also working their 9-to-5 jobs. So arguably, I was on a great track to do that in my previous role as the beauty content director at Jump Rope, which is a platform for content creators, but I noticed that my short-term happiness was definitely not there. I needed to make a decision for myself of the fact that I knew I could continue still my long-term career goals by working for myself, and also that my short-term happiness would just be exponentially better just because I would be in control of my schedule. I could pick and choose what to work on and decide my own kind of goals for each quarter, which I will also share about in this video, and just put me much more in the driver's seat and gave me a lot of control back that I basically felt like I had lost. And then the other big factor of this decision was the fact that in 2019 and 2020, I have brought in 5 figures from my blog and social media channels. So even when I was a full-time freelancer, putting the freelance writing aside from my blog and social media, which I was hoping to focus on, I had brought in 5 figures from that. And then in 2020, while working full-time, might I add, I also was able to bring in 5 figures from my blog and social media channels too. So that was a big signal to me that if that's what I can do when this is not my full focus, like imagine what I could really do if I really sat down and made a plan and actually just went for it. So that's a good segue leading into what I actually did leading up to me putting in my 2 weeks notice. As I mentioned, I already had a history of success from my blog and social media, and I knew that I had kind of been bringing in some money on the side and that that could only grow exponentially if I really sat down and put my full focus towards it. But I want to take a step back and just review a little bit about my financial history, because I think that's important to include in this video, because I don't want to assume that everyone is in the same position that I am in, and I just want you to understand where I'm at right now with money. I'm 26 years old. I grew up in New Jersey and I moved to New York when I was 18. I went to college here. I do not have any student loans. I think that's important to mention. And I also wanted to mention that at this point in my life, I have above the average for my age in my retirement savings, and I also have some money invested in the stock market. So I really took the time to kind of get my financial portfolio as in order as I could before making this jump. And I realized that, you know, some people have student loans to pay, some people aren't able to save as much. So I just wanted to throw that out there and say, like, that is a really good signal to me that I'm in an okay financial position to have been able to do this. I'm not married, I have no dependents, we don't have any pets or anything like that. So really just knowing that I am solely responsible for myself and my own money is really important to me. Before I quit, I made sure that I had saved 6 months worth of money for me to live my life completely normally, like doing any of the entertainment things I would normally do, like going out to dinner or ordering food, or that's really all we do right now anyway, right? It's not so much like travel and concerts and the normal things. Like I really just made sure that I set aside 6 months worth of money so that even if I don't earn a cent in the next 6 months, that I can pay my rent, I can live my life as I normally would. And that was a big thing that I needed to do for myself to personally feel comfortable with leaving a job willingly. And another thing that I did, not necessarily because I knew I was going to quit my job at the time, but last year I made a bunch of big investments into my business that I, you know, had not made ever really before, and that I felt comfortable making because I still had my full-time salary. So a couple of those include an SEO course that I've probably mentioned a couple of times on this channel here. So I bought an SEO course. I finally got my branding done. And the last thing was buying a new camera, which I am not using currently because I'm still learning the new camera, but it's a camera that supports 4K video, which I think will be the future here on YouTube. So all of those things alone probably get me up to, like, I don't know, about $3,000 in those big business expenses, right? So those things I kind of got done before, again, I made this leap. And that's also just because, for context, I've had my blog since 2012, and I've had my kind of consulting, freelancing business side of things since 2019, and those are both very important to me and things I've nurtured over time. So I felt comfortable knowing that those were worthwhile investments for me to make at this point in my business journey. Now let's answer the million-dollar question, well, hopefully a million-dollar question, which is, how will I be making money as a full-time content creator? So first up, one thing that I am very fortunate to have kind of set up for me is that I am still connected to my previous employer, and I'm basically working for them as a contractor. So we have put together a 3-month contract where for the next few months, I'm still gonna be creating content for their platform, doing a little shout out on Instagram stories, and a couple of other miscellaneous things all together. So if you like your current employer and you want to keep up a good relationship with them, but you're not sure you're ready to make the leap, or you want a bit more reassurance that you're ready to make the leap, I would definitely recommend seeing if maybe they will accommodate you working part-time for them. Maybe they can get you down to 4 days a week. And I definitely recommend seeing if your employer would be open to something like that if you are thinking about leaving. And as far as the rest of my income, there are 5 main ways that I will be earning money as a content creator. So the first is ads. Ads can be here on YouTube, over in TikTok because of the Creator Fund, and I guess I'll also put Clubhouse into the ads category, although their model is a bit more of a tipping model. But I made my first $5 on Clubhouse, which was really exciting. Someone tipped me during a talk that I did about SEO and search engine optimization for bloggers, so that was an exciting way to make money. And one thing I'm hoping to add to the ads pile is going to be ads on my blog by getting my blog to qualify for an ad network like Mediavine. So I still have a bit of a ways to go to get to their 50,000 monthly sessions threshold to apply, but once I have those ads on my blog, I'm confident that that will be a really nice chunk of passive income for me each month. The second thing is affiliates, and I have not really had much success with affiliates before, but I also have never really tried very hard with them. So I'm hoping that affiliate revenue can be a really nice way for me to recommend products that I love to people and allow them to easily shop. So instead of pushing affiliate links over on my Instagram and Instagram stories, at least for right now, because I just think my audience is not really warmed up to that idea at all, I'm really focusing on creating searchable content within the Like to Know It and Reward Style app, as well as sharing affiliate links as I normally do here on my YouTube channel and over on my blog. Another area is sponsored content. So that is kind of the typical way that you probably know influencers make money online, which is a brand will hire them to create content about a product or service that they offer, and the creator will share that on their social media channels. The next way I'll be earning money is by doing workshops and also consulting. So I do offer individual consulting sessions, I do influencer coaching, I can do bio audits, YouTube audits, also just content creation and strategy planning if you're new to this. So you can head over to my website to learn a bit more about that. And the last thing is my digital products. I know I mentioned Right on Pitch earlier in this video. That is my pitching ebook, which has brought in some passive revenue for me over the years, and I'm really going to be focused on expanding my digital product offerings based on what I know my audience wants and needs from me. In terms of the split of these different categories and how much I'll be making from each one, that sort of remains to be seen. I will put on the screen my 2 past years, well, 2019 and 2020, of how it has broken down to the total percentage of my income of these different categories. And I think one thing that's interesting about the difference between 2019 and 2020 is I already started to reflect that mission that I was talking about earlier, which is to stop trading dollars for hours as much with content and to earn more from ads, affiliates, and digital products as better senses of passive income. The other thing to keep in mind from 2020 is that I was not pitching brands as actively because I was working full-time, and also because of the pandemic. At least in the spring, there was a pretty big slowdown of brands and sponsored content. It definitely picked back up towards the end of the year, but I did have 1 or 2 campaigns that were originally scheduled for the spring that completely fell apart altogether. So that is just one thing to note about the difference, but I'm definitely leaning towards liking the split and the divide in the 2020 chart more so than the 2019, just because again, that is really products that I can create and profit from and benefit from over and over again versus just creating one time for one specific brand. The last thing I guess I'll share is just my goals for the second quarter and what I'm thinking for the third quarter. So my goal for Q2 is basically just growth across all of my platforms and channels. And my priority platforms are YouTube, TikTok, and my blog. So I want to increase my YouTube views and subscribers, therefore increasing my ad revenue over here. I really want to increase my following count on TikTok. I've been working really hard on posting right now twice a day on TikTok. So if you want to go check out my content over there, I do a bit of fashion styling, some beauty stuff, as well as creator tips. I'll leave a link to my TikTok down below as always. And I'm also really excited to be growing my blog and creating so much more higher quality posts than I was ever creating before. I do a lot of keyword research behind these blog posts to make sure that they are worth my time to write, and so people are actually finding them. And since last September, I've been able to get my page views, monthly page views, up from about 4,000 to over 11,000 now. Yeah, so those will be my priority platforms because I can monetize content on YouTube and TikTok, as well as create great content that can hopefully attract some brand partnerships. And then my blog, like I said, my goal is to qualify for an ad network like Mediavine, and that requires getting up to 50,000 monthly sessions. But it'll be worth it when the passive revenue kicks in. And if you guys want a little bit more information about passive revenue for bloggers, I do have this video right here that I will link down below for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. As I mentioned earlier, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for new videos every week and give this video a thumbs up down below if it helped you out. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!